Hello, happy Thursday.
Welcome.
Welcome, happy Thursday. So I'm April Fournier, she, her. I am a member of the Dene tribe. I live here in Portland. I am a mom. I serve on Portland City Council. I work within the community, primarily working with very early children on social determinants of health for families. Yeah, I'm just kind of everywhere.
I would say so. And I'm Marie Folatar. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I live in South Portland. We are here in Coworkers, where you can often find me and others. And in the past couple of years, I went from being on permanent disability to running a small organization called Mainers for Accountable Leadership, but also being a part of many launches from Moral Movement Maine, Suit Up Maine, Disability Activists and Allies of Maine, which is now Disability Voters of Maine, the Poor People's Campaign of Maine, and a couple of other things on their way. And in that, I've had sort of a breadth of experience, a lot of encounters with a variety of trainings, a variety of methods, being somewhat new to movement work versus, sort of issue advocacy, and had some hard lessons and some good lessons that a couple in this Zoom room have been the sort of support network that have certainly helped me continue to get through. So
Same.
thanks, Kim and Clara.
Very, very same. Yes, I think we're going to hear a lot of similar threads as we have our discussions. And so we would love to get to know everyone else in the room. You think it would be easiest for people just to raise their hands and we'll have them unmute and introduce? Or I'll call names.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say it sometimes goes quicker if you just call names and they.
Great.
And what would you like to hear from them? You want to hear their name? What else?
Name. Where are you joining us from? If you want to share that. Pronouns, if you want to share those, and just why you're excited to be here, and share as much or as little as you would like. So we'll start with Jen Christian.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Hello. Okay. Hi, I'm Jen Christian, and I actually work with Mallory Shaughnessy, who just spoke, at the Alliance for Addiction and Mental Health Services. I live in Dresden, Maine, and I'm very excited to hear what you all have to bring to this subject. And that's about it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. And next, Nina.
And I will
you're
say,
on mute.
And I would say, please let me know in the chat if you do not want to be called on. Let me just throw that in there.
Please, yeah, absolutely. You're not required.
My name's Nina. I live in Freeport. I got an email about this event and just decided it was worth doing, and so I came. I have no real buy-in other than to learn, and I will be in and out because I got to go grab my kids off the bus in a few minutes, but otherwise,
Understood.
that's
welcome.
Thanks.
All right, and next is Clara.
Hi, I know and learn from Marie every day, and so I'm very grateful to her. And I don't know you, April, but I've been following a little bit your political trajectory, and really am very interested in what you have to say on these topics. So thank you for doing this.
Awesome, thank you. And now I lost where we are. Who's next?
Danya?
Hi. Sorry, the light makes it sometimes look like I'm Baltimore. I'm Danya. I'm actually with the Maine Women's Lobby, but here as Danya. I'm in Pittston, Maine. I use she and they pronouns. And I am, I guess, relatively young to this work. And I really want to learn more about how to navigate sort of how we live in inequitable systems that make it harder for us to live while doing the work we do, and trying to promote equity while also being in positions where, you're completely ladened with debt and like weird disparities that you didn't even know existed until you like were told you need a credit score. And I'm like, what? Stuff like that, you know? Yeah. So good to see everybody here.
Welcome. Next, I have Gretchen.
Hi, Gretchen, she, her, hers are my pronouns. I'm 20, I'm a USM college student. And I don't know, I think it's knowledge is power. I think it's important to kind of understand like where we sit in positions in society and how those are affecting us in the systems we live in and other people around us. And I don't know, I just think it's important.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Gretchen. Oh, now we've had more people join.
Yeah, we've had more
I'm so
people.
excited, which is great, but now I've lost.
If you want, I
Laura.
could step in a little bit or keep going. Yep.
Yeah, and I know we're also getting close to 3:30, so we'll move along with introductions. Aura, go ahead.
And I'll quickly state again, chat me if you don't want to be called on, to just say who you are, where you're from, pronouns, and what you're excited to be here for. But let me know in the chat and we will not call you.
Do you want me to go?
Yes.
Hi, if it's okay, I'm off camera. I'm just like out and about. So hi, everybody. I'm Aura Russell Better, and happy and apologize for coming in late, but I didn't want to miss it, but you know, life. So I think you said, where are we from? I'm in East Deering neighborhood in Portland, and I'm on the school board, District 4 school board rep, and pronouns are she, hers. Did I miss anything else? No,
That is
thanks,
perfect.
everybody.
I know Aura's laugh anywhere.
And yours too.
All right, next we'll go to Lisa Millette.
Hi, I'm Lisa, she, her, hers. I work at the Island Institute, but actually got connected through a couple of friends who work for different organizations, one of them being the housemate that I lived with for almost the past 2 years. And their work with the League of Women Voters made me realize that I could be involved a lot more than I am because, yeah, local politics and engaging with government and stuff like that seemed scary to me, and they helped me navigate some basic stuff and looking to dig a little deeper.
Awesome. And then Marissa.
Hey everybody, I'm Marisa Weil, she, her pronouns, and I'm with Maine Family Planning. I'm the VP for Development and Community Engagement. I am in my home, my little cabin in Freedom, Maine today, and then when I go into the office, I work in Augusta. And I just, when I saw the topic of the workshop, I wrote Danya and I was like, I have a meeting and I'm going to be a little late, but I really want to attend this because it's just really, I think, one of the biggest issues that we have to grapple with in terms of overcoming systems of power and making democracy a more genuine, inclusive process, and somewhere where we can all have our voice and belong.
Awesome. Amazing. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then Bright.
Hello, my name is Bright. I live in Lewiston. I work for an organization called Prosperity Maine. We do financial literacy for the community. And I'm excited to attend this workshop because I'm always trying to gather as much information, knowledge, and to be able to inform my lived experiences as a Black woman, as an immigrant, especially here in Maine, the widest state in the country. So yeah, I always look for opportunities to just educate myself and to be current on the happenings. So thank you.
Love it.
And we just have had in the chat a couple, Madeline and Kim have said they've just put their information in the chat and they're good with that. And so I think that's everybody.
I think that's everybody. Well, welcome. We are so grateful to have you here. And thank you for sharing, because that really, I think, sets the stage for what we're hoping to talk about. So
Want to take it away?
yeah.
All right.
So I think what I want to start with is, so I am a first, right? So I am the first Indigenous woman to be elected to Portland City Council this last November. So I'm just finishing my first term, which is incredibly exciting, right? Amazing. And as we see on social media, as we see kind of everywhere, we have a lot of pushes for, we want to have more firsts. So we need to elect more Black women. We need to elect more Asian women. We need to elect more Indigenous women. We need to elect more formerly incarcerated women, former substance use. So there's all of these firsts that we want to have at the table to have really important conversations, because those are views that are missing from everything that we talk about. So as we make decisions on housing, policy, where we spend our money as municipalities or as states or even federally, there's so many voices that we're missing at the table. So we're trying to create these movements to bring people in, bring in those experience and those voices, so that as the decisions made, we're making well-informed decisions from the people that are going to directly affect. What no one tells you in all of these wonderful organizing, you have all of this support, you're running, people are really excited to get you elected, you get elected, and then everyone's like, okay, cool, now I need to go back to my life. And then you are in office in your first city council meeting, and you're like, I think I know what I'm supposed to do, I'm not know what I'm supposed to do, and someone says, Councillor Fournier, and you're like, wait, am I supposed to say here? Or am I supposed to say yes? What? I don't know what I'm doing. And then, you move into your first couple of weeks, and as a first, or as someone who belongs to a marginalized population, not everybody is really excited that you have taken a spot at the table. And so there is some pushback, and there is some resistance, and there are some people that will drag you in public and social media, and you don't always know that you need to have a community there to help support you after election day comes, after inauguration day comes, and during that next, I have a council term of 3 years. So I'm just finishing my first year. I still have 2 more years to go. So one of the things that struck me as part of this process in being a first is, if I want to have other firsts, if I want to have others come after me, I really want to make sure that the environment is set and prepared to support those firsts, because we already know it's really hard to live in the skin and to operate in a very white state. But I also want to make sure that it's a safe space for those of us who were first to continue to operate in. So it's wonderful to get us elected, but to continue to get reelected, to even want to be in office, is something that I don't think we're talking about enough. Because I know, just anecdotally, I've heard from people within the last few years who have been elected, whether it's to school board, council, county commission, or even just serving on various boards within the city, after their first term, they're out, they're done. They just didn't feel well supported. They didn't feel like they had the tools they needed, or they weren't prepared for the public not to be completely with them. And so they don't want to do it again, because it is a lot of stress just to live our everyday lives. Very few positions serving in office pay a full-time salary. So we're often then balancing full-time work in addition to this extra work. So I think one of the things I wanted to talk about today is, how do we create a system of support so that we don't only just have first and last, we have first and the next. So that's what I'm excited to talk about today.
So I offer sort of a converse and, sort of this organizational perspective of candidate recruitment. So just for some context again, for folks who weren't here, I was on SSDI and Medicare when I began with co-founding Meters for Accountable Leadership. I was navigating systemic ableism, internalized ableism, and how the hell do I tell people that I am embroiled in this system while I'm Rachel?
I do.
And while navigating like
that's okay.
Oh, let's pause for a second. A US senator accusing me and my organization of bribery. Real stories. So, and in that, I sort of had a large learning curve of how do I invite volunteers in to the movement. And we did this incredible video launching a campaign that raised $4.1 million that went to Sarah Gideon. And well, one of our volunteers who did it ended up with a Breitbart story. And we didn't prepare her for it because I didn't know to prepare her for it. And because I was involved with the folks from the Women's March, and it was dazzling with Audie Barkin and Winnie Wong and Bob Bland and Linda Sarsour, and it was incredible to be a part of the movement, but there wasn't a pause button. There wasn't informed consent along the way every time you participated. So I started to step back and I started to see, like, how do we make these asks? How do we invite people to, do we inform people of the risks of speaking out, of doing a video, of the choices of using your first name and your full name? How do we work and support both as we catapult into a viral moment, but when we inevitably crash from the adrenaline of a high octane civil disobedience blocking the hallway outside of Senator Collins' DC office? And I realized that while I didn't have all the answers, I had started to ask the questions. And in the past 5 years, we've had a lot of high octane emergency moments where, and when acting only in emergency, we aren't building foundational relationships that provide the deep democracy community support that we need to navigate the attacks, the personal challenges. And it's so important, but it's also the language that we use when we talk about organizing. I receive emails like, I need a faith leader. Well, it's not a rent-a-collar operation. Those are my friends. Or, Marie, can I get a DACA? And I'm like, a what? You mean my friend so-and-so who's a dreamer, who I've built relationship with for 3 years? There's a depersonalization innate in cycle-to-cycle organizing that mirrors the same experience that April has as a candidate, where the support is there when you're running, but not as much when you won. And it's the same problem that we saw when Obama took office. There was a surge to elect him, but where was the grassroots pressure to support him to enact the progressive policies we elected him to do? And in order to do that, we need to talk about what it means to support an elected official and what it means to support the volunteers that we invite in. People are our community. They're not just meant to be extracted. And I've had some tough lessons, made some hard mistakes, not necessarily excited about them. But if we are open to learning together, and if we have a squad who can call us in, some of whom are on the Zoom, that makes it a lot easier. So, and then in that, we've gotten to the point where my organization, Mainers for Accountable Leadership, has started some candidate recruitment. And I was really excited. I was like, okay, we have this list and we have phone numbers and we can have our partner text them. And we recruited 11 candidates and 7 of them won, but no support, so I'm ashamed. It's a win, but we didn't create the system. So now we're talking, okay, what's that system? What's that system? And it's different. It's moving away from the capitalist extractive white supremacist system that we are all accustomed to. And that we see when campaigns storm into our state, spend a whole lot of money and throw us all away. Yes. All right, I don't want to be thrown away. I don't want to be thrown away either. Okay. I want you here for the long term.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, when we look at the systemic change that we all want to make, right? There are things that we know, like we're not going to solve being unhoused with one policy. We're not going to solve our families living in poverty and children going hungry with one policy. It's systemic change that is going to take time, and it's going to take all of us to be able to stay in this work. But if we, for example, I've spent the last 10 days in Portland playing defense from political assassination attempts from people that live in my community because they don't like the work that I do or they don't like me personally. So I haven't been able to focus on the work that we're trying to do for sheltering people, for trying to figure out, we have more people coming in from down south that we're trying to resettle in our community. How do we find places for them to go, or food or clothing, when we're out of hotel rooms and we're out of emergency shelter? And, you know, we have, you know, this next budget that we're going to be taking on in January as a new council. What are the things that I need to start thinking about now and talking to departments around the city for the projects that I want to get done in my second year in council? I don't have time for any of that because I'm spending so much time playing defense for things that are just, I shouldn't have to. And so I think it's important to think of, if we want all of these different perspectives at the table for the long term and not get burnt out or like, I can't do this anymore, we need to find ways to be able to not only support during the campaign or even the first few weeks of being elected, but how do we create long-term support systems so that I know if I am getting attacked, you know, in media, what are my best ways to respond? Who is my team that's going to help me just work through things, or even just be an emotional support and say, that is awful. You know, it's not fair that you should have to shoulder that. Let's shoulder that together.
Well, and also, and so that there's that piece. There's like, whose crisis comes, and
Right.
there's, how do I, as a white woman, show up as an ally to the women of color being attacked in the town next to me?
Right.
And how do I lead to teach others to show up?
Right.
And if we're only doing it in crisis, we're more likely to sometimes cause harm. So we need to build slower, which is uncomfortable. We're used to going fast. It's a mobilization and we're gonna all go in the streets.
Yes. Yeah.
And what next? Similar to winning. So it's, if you don't have access to financial resources that can provide you the crisis comms team, or the strategic support, or the connections, then what do you do?
Right.
I mean, I was in a communications lockdown. So legal lockdown, 2018, when Senator Collins accused us of bribery. So everything I said had to be vetted by an attorney. That was really new for me.
Yeah.
And I kept my like face on, but I probably needed more support. I needed someone to provide some emotional support while hell was breaking loose in the public eye. And there is an unfortunate misconception that media is sexy and exciting, and it's not. It comes with the territory. It can help you deliver an effective message, absolutely, and it is amazing to drive a narrative. But when that narrative is pushing against you, and you need to have a team mobilizing with you. So how do we create our campaign teams for the long term? How do we create our organizations for the long term? And that's where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. How do we help our firsts not be the lasts?
Absolutely.
Both in
Because
organizing and in getting into office.
Because, you know, I've in the past like 3 months, I've had conversations with folks all around the state, and people are dropping out as volunteers. They're disengaged, they're apathetic. And what I hear from a lot of campaign pros is, don't worry, you know, when the cycle comes on, they'll be back. oh, you mean when we motivate them with rage, anger, fear? Okay, we can do that, but it'll burn them out again. And at what cost to health, well-being, community, resilience, and a willingness to re-engage. And that's also the same, right, with the elected officials, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the things that I find is more in my everyday work that I do with families in the community, I am more likely to help them affect long-term change with relationship building, with looking at where are our long-term resources, not just what can I give you in the moment. And again, that trust building, because I know if the family trusts me to help meet their needs, or if they call me, they can feel that support, we're going to have a longer term relationship, and we're going to have better results. They're going to be more resilient. They're going to be able to move into independence and actually not need me as much. And so if we're doing that for candidates, if we're doing that for organizers, we all of a sudden now have a community that has trust, that has relationship, that has resilience, that can do this work for the long term, instead of, I need you for 30 days. Can you give me everything you've got? And then I'm not going to need you again for another 6 months. So again, it's moving away from transactional, it's moving away from extracting everything we can out of humans, and really looking at how do we build these long-term sustainable relationships so that we can do this, we can really make some systemic change.
And it means it's messier.
Yes.
And we're more vulnerable. And politics doesn't tell you to be vulnerable. And that's white supremacy. So if we say that we are anti-racist, it also means examining these systems. It also means trying something new, taking a risk, failing. Yes. And getting back up again together. And having grown up in a household where my parents really like number one, it's an exciting transition to relearn.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you want to go into breakout groups?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we thought we would explore some of the questions and explore some of your experiences. One thing just to call in this moment is the intention that to not name names of organizations and candidates and people. We've all had experiences. No organization is perfect. We all make those mistakes. So be respectful for that. And we've put some transformative intentions in this Google Doc that can help ground you in this moment and ground you in how you can show up in this space together. And then some directions from choose a group facilitator, quickly reintroduce yourself, however you choose to do, and then begin to explore these questions that we have put together. And with that in mind, this is a beginning of a conversation. We would really like to continue having this discussion with you. Step into the mess with us, and maybe we'll start finding our way. So let's break out.
Let's do it.
All right.
So I put the link in the chat for folks to click, and they should be able to open it. If anybody's having trouble opening it or getting it, let me know.
I see people. I think we're in. They're in. Yay.
All right.
We've got viewers.
So I'm going to go ahead and do an automatic assignment, and we'll have 2 breakout groups. And April and Marie, you can go back and forth between them.
Okay, and can you post it again? And Kim, I'm just going to share it to you to your account. You think you'll like it anyhow.
Oh, okay. I can post it again to you, just
Awesome.
in case you're not seeing it. And I think they don't have anybody on the phone that needs that. Okay, no, we should be good. All right, I'm going to assign.
Right.
Here we go. Off to the breakout rooms.
See you in about 20 minutes.
So we're not going to join yet.
There they go.
Yay!
It's fun to see folks. They're reading. Oh no.
Oh, let's see. You are not,
Kim is not able to get in nor is Bright yet.
right. I am trying to, you're not going in and I'm not sure why. I'm trying to move you physically in to a room. Are you there? Bright, are you with us still? Oh, there she went.
There we go. Yay. Oh,
No.
What happened? I was in the breakout room.
oh no. Oh no.
Let me
Let's
see.
try again.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure what
We're gonna
happened.
roll with it and laugh, okay?
Yeah, you should be moving in there. Oh, I think she did.
All right.
No, she just popped.
Oh, she's
There.
now she's
Yes.
in room 2. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
right.
That's
That is so
weird.
cool. Woo, we did it.
Yay! Hoo-hoo. That's the first time I've ever put people in a breakout room. How
Oh
exciting.
my gosh,
Great
right?
job.
It's high stress.
I know. Okay, what time is it? So we went
So
around.
it's
Oh,
3:51.
I don't know that we told them how long they're going to be there.
So we can broadcast a message and say
Yep.
20 minutes.
Yep. Okay. Do you want to do that or you want me to?
Oh, can you do
You
it?
got it.
Because
Yeah, yeah.
thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, I love it that I got 2 requests from Drizzly basically asking to send alcohol. That's pretty hilarious. She's gonna email me. Right, so she's broadcasting. Right?
Yeah.
Good, perfect. Awesome.
So I broadcast it out. All right. Well, there they go.
Look at
And
it.
then, and I guess you can, are you seeing the breakout room in progress thing as well? Because you're.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. So I guess you can go into, which I don't show up there, which is interesting. Huh. But you two can go into either, you can put yourself into, move into room 1 or to room 2.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. However
Like 5
you want
minutes, you
to.
may want to like pop in, say hi. You're like, hello.
Yeah. Give them a little bit and then say, so what are you talking about?
You're like, what are you doing? I know. They're gonna be like, stop looking at me. I don't want you.
That was good. That was good.
I was pretty conversational. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't want to make it. We didn't want to make it too serious. We wanted it to flow, which is why it makes it so much easier in person because I can't.
Yeah.
No,
And we'll come back after at 10 after is what I have. We will
takeaways and perfect.
Debrief.
Yep.
Yeah. Some next steps.
Sounds good. I am setting my timer finally for 8 minutes. Okay. 18.
It's hard to make changes. So many lessons over the past couple of years. I feel like
Oh,
we
yeah.
need so much space.
Yeah, I mean, I remember sitting over at Deanie's house. Was that
Oh my gosh, right.
2 or 3
Right?
years ago when you guys were first kind of
Yep.
putting it together? Yeah. You've done good stuff. When was that? 4 years?
That was
5
5
years?
It was
5?
5 it was 5 years ago in December, which is unbelievable to me.
Unbelievable.
And I mean, none of this, like, we could never have foreseen so many of the trajectories.
Oh, no, of where things have gone. And sadly, we still have Susan Collins.
Oh, yeah, I mean, mistakes are actually getting worse. In the democracy defense calls that we're a part of, they are pretty problematic.
Yeah.
So, but you know, we'll figure it out eventually, right?
It's a pendulum. It's
I just
gonna
like,
swing
I
back and
harken
forth.
back to this, okay. I harken back to this one time where I had a conversation with Michael, and he was talking about wanting to get arrested, and because he wanted to say that he was arrested for embroidering the flag. So he's like in jail. He's like, why are you arrested? Embroidery.
Embroidering.
Yep. Wow.
Embroidering.
That's hardcore. Yeah, it was fun.
Hmm. So this is the end of your first year, April?
This is the end of my first year. Well, yeah, officially in December will be the end of my first year, but
Yeah.
It's wild and crazy.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, I still have 2 more years of this.
You look like
Portland
wow.
has gone, yeah, it's
wild,
something
and
else.
And I think that we're going through like a huge change because of course the city manager is leaving. So he's going to Florida. We'll be hiring a new city manager, but all of these department heads have also exited with his exodus, which I think people say, oh, it's too divisive or it's blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, it's a changing of the guard.
Kim, you're back. You there, Kim?
Maybe just on the phone. It looks like no video.
Yeah, but I thought she had been assigned. Are you there, Kim?
I wonder if she dropped off.
Maybe she was calling. I don't know. Calling in. Are you there?
She seems to be on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, she can hear us. Hey, Kim, we're talking at you. You can text and talk back.
So does she want to get put back in another room?
Do you want to be in another room?
Not. Is she texting to you? Because I'm not seeing anything in the
Yes.
chat. Okay.
Yes, she would like to be put back in the breakout room.
Does she know?
Where you want her to?
I think she must have been 2. Kim, was she in with?
She was with Clara.
She was
So
with Clara.
2.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I thought. I'll put her back at 2. Okay. Yep. Looks like she's back. That's weird. I have no idea. I feel like a marionette master moving people around with little strings.
Crap. I need to find a formula. This is my life. It never stops.
Oh, we just got somebody new coming in.
Lori Osher. You know Lori. She's one of my Emerge buddies.
Oh, really?
Yes. She's
Cool.
fabulous.
I love Emerge. I was on the board for like 5 years. It's awesome.
I also love it, and I'm loving that we're looking at ways to make it better.
Yes. Yes.
It's good for some, but not always as supportive for all. All right, so I need Hannah first.
Okay, Laura, are you there?
Not officially, just.
Lori, can you hear me?
Lori Osher.
Yes, hi. Hello, sorry I'm late.
So do you want to give her a little guidance, and then I can put her in probably 4, 5, 1, 2, 3 in room 2?
Yeah, so Lori, we're just in breakout rooms right now, just talking about really the topic of our session. So being supported when doing, whether it's working as a candidate or working as an organizer, the things that we've gone through where we found like, oh, this is amazing, this is great. And then all of a sudden you're elected and poof, everybody's gone. So no one kind of gives you the rule book on how do you continue in this space when you don't have the support you need, especially as a marginalized identity, when all your friends have their other lives to go back to, where do you turn at that point? And so our breakout groups are kind of talking about that just from a personal experience perspective. I think you would be fabulous to talk about that from your perspective. If you want to join a breakout group, if that sounds good.
And
Thank
Lori,
you. It sounds wonderful.
and I just sent you directly the link to the document sort of the breakout guidelines and questions?
Message.
I'm
Kim's-
driving, so I don't
Oh.
think that I'm gonna
Never
be
mind.
doing that.
Okay, I will just assign you to a room and you can take it from there.
Let us go quickly and join Kim's group to leave a message because she cannot be heard. You can't broadcast just.
Gotcha.
They were like serious.
They're like, we're making notes, we're doing the thing.
All right,
Exciting.
that's great.
So I'm
You get a
doing
good-
work stuff now. I apologize. I'm trying to find formula.
That's okay. That is, you're trying to find what for people?
Formula for one of the moms that I
Ah.
have. Baby's got a milk protein allergy, and so they have a special Alimentum formula that they normally can get at Hannaford. This mom overfeeds the baby as a way of soothing, and so we've done all kinds of coaching around that. Like, I get it. However, I need you to stop overfeeding, because if you do, then you run out of formula, and that makes him very cranky and fussy because his belly's really full. She's not entirely ready to hear that yet, so
That's tough.
yeah, it's a hard
Hmm.
one. They have that here.
Is tough.
So let me see if I can. Julie made it.
Oh, Jen got lost. She's coming back.
Nice.
Hey, Jen. Looks like you got lost and came back. Did you get bumped out, Jen?
Yeah, I did.
Let's
hear me?
see. Yep, I can hear you. I'm just trying to see. You were in one of the rooms, right?
I was, but I got bumped out. I keep getting bumped out of the meeting rooms.
Were you in with
Oh,
Dania?
no.
Were you? I know earlier. Were you with Dania?
No.
Bright?
That name doesn't sound familiar either.
I'm not sure which one you were in. I was thinking that you were with one, Aura, Gretchen.
I think it was
Lisa.
2.
Was it?
I think it was number 2.
Okay.
It was 2.
Bright, Clara, Kim, Lori, Lisa, Madeline.
It's okay. I can wait until everybody gets back.
Well, we've got
I
about
think it's
7
a
more
little
minutes.
hard to join now.
I was gonna say, were you there for a little bit though?
Okay, well, just stick me somewhere because I never got started.
Oh, you never really did. Okay, well, I'm gonna put you in room 1 then, because
You can stick.
there you go.
Okay.
I think. Well, I moved. Oh, there you go.
All right, so we'll have people report out.
Absolutely, do a little debrief. And then give them some next steps, invite them to sign up to continue the conversation.
Awesome.
Okay.
Love it. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that sounds great.
Basic.
And do you want me to do like a 5-minute warning before 4:30, or send you two?
Yeah,
just
that'd be
to-
great. And I think, yeah,
I'll just
And
send
then
it in a chat just to you and it'll pop up on your screen in front of you, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you
Curious
need me to
how
do?
many? No. Other than, we're curious if you have ideas how to stop the extraction cycle, problem.
Right up my sleeve. Oh man, I tell you what. I'm in the middle of trying to keep the freaking mental health system in Maine from completely going down into the ravine. The state's building a bridge to the future, and we're falling into the ravine as they do it with no way to get to the bridge.
Isn't it fun how we build the pretty shiny things before we fix the things that are falling apart?
Oh yeah, no, they put 9 million into a whole nother level of service, which was needed, but you don't need 9 million in the first year or two, and we needed 5 million in children's health. So, oh well.
Do you talk to Megan DeCamps at King's office?
Oh yeah. I mean, we talk with the federal delegation a lot, except for Colin's office. We actually have meetings with all of them next week again, except for Colin's office so far. But it's the state. It's at the state level. It's what they're doing. They've got more money than God, and in their hands right now. And Milestones is closing down again. Oliver has to close because of critical shortage of staff, and he doesn't know if it's going to actually be able to reopen, even though they just got a 75% rate increase. But they can't get there from here.
Yeah.
They can't hire up to then retroactively get paid back. It's like a family on rice and beans that's, eking out, doing, they're making it. And then you say, oh, well, we'll reimburse you if you go get steak, potatoes, and beans. Get some spinach. We'll reimburse you. And you're like, well, how do I go do that?
Right.
To get reimbursed. So that's, yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Well, and I know there's a group, I think there's some people from Maine Health, some people from United Way. Tay Chong is working on it.
Yeah, no Tay.
They're doing like some mental health stuff, but it's like, can you help me understand what is it that you're trying to do? Because I'm still you've been meeting with all of these big groups, but I'm still not clear who's doing what. And I think it's still like the 50,000 foot view. And it's like, okay, guys, I don't need that.
We got a lot of people hanging out up there in that 50,000 view, and not, Oliver Bradeen, who's been the executive director at Milestone.
I love Oliver.
I love him too. He's been there a year, and the poor guy is totally stressed out over this whole thing. I mean, he's beside himself. Yep.
It breaks my heart.
Well, and I think one of the things that we're significantly struggling with in Portland is there are the county jail is closed. So not that we want to have anyone be arrested, but you have violent offenders that they need to be removed from the situation, and they're not. They're just they're staying there, and so then it's amping up all of this really stuff. Like the porta potties that we put out are getting trashed, so they're full of human waste, needles. There's body fluid all over them. There's trash everywhere, and then all of the stores are I can't safely open because people are just accosting the customers that are coming, and it's just I don't know what else to do, because no one seems to want to act or talk about solutions. It's like, guys, we have millions of dollars in our account right now. How is it that we can't
the state has it, the city has it, freaking Cumberland County, I was a county commissioner. If they'd given us $57 million, I would have had a lot of things I would have done with that.
Right.
It's the first time to actually have money.
Right. And I keep sending emails John, can we have a workshop? Can we talk about how we can help you? Kate, can we have a work? What can I do, guys? Just tell me, let's do it and let's get it done. And it's just there's this paralysis of I don't know.
No,
it's gonna keep getting worse.
It is. It is getting worse. And I mean, 13 residential services have just closed wings or consolidated and closed down more beds. You know, yeah. So where are those people going to end up? On the street and in the jail, in the emergency department. At Maine Medical right now, in the emergency psych unit, they have people on stretchers in the hallways.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's no room. Up, close all rooms. All right, time to go.
Right. We're coming back. Welcome back.
Coming back. All right, everybody's coming back. Oh, 58 seconds. Give them a minute.
Want a mint?
I would take a minute.
All right. Sorry,
I'm gonna give you your hair back.
Thank you. Yeah, love it.
They are heading back in 50 some seconds.
Fantastic.
And coming now.
Coming back. Coming back. Let's see.
No one in our council. There's no one in our council that represents the most marginalized, and so I do my best to gather information and speak up. And I feel that I need to boost myself up. People are constantly saying how grateful they am that I'm on the council, just in general, when I run into them at the farmer's market or around town. But I kind of feel like I'm left hanging, and my core value is to remember that I do have people supporting me when I'm feeling shut down in the midst of saying what I feel needs to be said. That's only two. That's not three.
Oops, sorry, we were muted.
Welcome back, everyone. And thank you, Lori. You actually ended up saying the end of what you were saying to the larger group, which is a great segue into sort of a little bit of a debrief about the questions, some of the questions that came up for you, a little bit about your experiences, whether or not the questions resonated. And so, we'd love to sort of popcorn it, some responses, and hear what came up.
Yeah, absolutely. Group one, I don't know if you have someone who wants to kind of share thoughts for the group, or if anyone from group one wants to share what you had to hear. What we would love to hear your thoughts.
Were we group one?
I was just gonna say, I think we were group one.
Yeah, sorry, that's always the hardest thing, is remembering which group you were in.
Does anybody want to chat? I mean, I could start if people are okay with it. I thought it was interesting because a bunch of folks in this group identified also some of the sort of challenges coming in with, and this is just what's stuck in my mind from the last conversation we were having before we were booted back out. But, some of the challenges in knowing and learning about why we are a very white state, why our communities are very white, but then having sort of the difficulties of, what are people telling people who come here and come to move here, or how are people of color experiencing living here, and how does that face barriers for us, either as people in movement work or white allies who are trying to figure out, well, we want people to feel welcome, but we also don't know any.
Yeah, very valid.
Among many, or there's just a lot of other cues make people, you know, actively feel unsafe as a person of color in like social media and stuff. Like when people start commenting on Maine's like headlines about something and they're like, Maine isn't racist, or you know, all kinds of things, all kinds of things. Why are there Confederate flags all over Maine sometimes? I don't know.
What about for two? Would you like to report out?
I think we were a group of people who very much looked and waited for others' voices rather than, as you can see now.
That's okay. That's great.
So we talked about our core values, and some of the values that were shared were being your authentic self, uplifting marginalized voices, learning the hard way, and keeping those teachings along with you. I know I'm missing some because we all shared. So if others want to pop in.
I think there was a general consensus from most of the people in our group that we value listening and learning.
Great.
So one of the questions that resonated for me was this, that you get that once you're elected, in the process to get elected, as an emerged person, I learned how to ask for help and what kind of tasks I could ask for help for. And I delegated those tasks and had help. It was wonderful. And then once I got elected, if I ran into people, they'd say, you go. But what I feel both as a town councilor and as a legislator in the state house is that the pay is incredibly low and the staffing is nil for the council, because we're actually told we're not supposed to talk to anyone on the town staff, because that's a violation of hierarchy, since our employees, the town manager and her employees are the town staff. So I have no staff on the council. And in the legislature, I share a staff person with 12 other people. So that if she's being generous with her time, I get 4 hours a week, but that's not, you know, she has other tasks. So a couple hours max. And so what I feel would be great would be that if we instituted in the state of Maine, especially for people who are trying to represent marginalized voices, and especially for people of color that are in elected positions, is to have this idea of an informal staff that you would meet with regularly, just like you meet with your campaign staff.
Yeah.
So that, and they might look over the agenda. I get the town council agenda on Friday afternoon and I observe Shabbat. So I may see what it says on the agenda, very short names of things. And then sometime either Saturday or Sunday, I get a full information about the agenda that could be up to 125 pages. And then we have a meeting on Monday night. And I have a full-time job that I need to work so that I can pay my bills. And so Monday I'm working. And so there's not much time. I also work on Sunday to pay my bills. And so there's not much time for me to evaluate what's in the council agenda. And the things that are undermining people of color and marginalized people and ignoring the needs of people are buried. They're either not on the agenda. And so what I need to do when the meeting comes to say, this is not on the agenda and it should be. And so that's a lot harder than seeing something on the agenda that sucks. And there are things on the agenda that suck too, but how to describe how they suck in an eloquent way when I bring, and probably hear it in my voice, when I bring to the fact that this process is just designed to subsume the needs of people. And then when I see, like when Sophia Khalid is getting trounced, I think I'm feeling marginalized. Like, I'm a white person. I may be a lesbian and I may be outspoken about being there for people who are marginalized, but I want to quit all the time. And I have been in jobs where I had my life threatened and my house threatened to be burned down because of the way I spoke out in my job. But I'm safe, but I feel so left out in the cold in my job as a legislator sometimes, specifically that part of the job, which is to speak for the people who aren't being spoken for and make sure that I'm being articulate and that I'm elevating voices. But if I have only Sunday and Monday to figure out who I should be quoting or who I should be elevating. So anyway, there's my thought.
Yeah, so like snaps to that, a couple of things come up for me around that is one is like, who are we accountable to, right? What does it mean to represent? And then when we ask for the labor of those who are directly impacted, of those who are marginalized, how are we compensating them? Mm-hmm. I am a part of this Learning to Win community. And 3 weeks ago, I was in a meeting and I texted April and I'm like, I'm being compensated for attending. And it was a world shift for me. So, here we have people in positions who need the lived experiences, brought to them, who need to have an anti-racism lens when examining systemic problems. And we rely on that and we need to pay folks. So it's a whole other structure of, labor and respect.
Absolutely. Well, and I think when we have had the same voices in all of these positions of power and room for so long because they're retired, they're wealthy, and they have privilege. And so I, as an Indigenous woman who, is a mom, there's no way I could just do council full time. I have to work in order to pay my mortgage, to make sure my children have food on the table, and my voice is necessary on the council. The compensation I get is, I think, a little under $500 a month for that. And I am still expected to show up in a full-time capacity for my community, from the community expectations, but also this is why I chose to do this, because my voice is necessary in the room. And to Lori's point, for our legislature, we're finally seeing, some different voices in the room, but again, not compensated in a full-time capacity. And it's very difficult to run for office, because if you're working full-time, when do you canvass? How do you raise funds to be competitive? How do you make sure that you're, getting well known enough to be elected? And then once you are elected, just hearing the schedule for being a legislator, I can't imagine having a second job and being able to say, so I have to go do some committee work. I might be gone for 2 hours. I might be gone for the rest of the day. Is that okay? In most of our occupations, I can't imagine that level of flexibility. So I think it's also recognizing that if we want to have different voices in organizing spaces in elected office, we need to also understand we don't all come with the same privilege. We don't all come with the same economic status, and we need to be able to make up those differences too.
I just want to jump in here for a second, if I could. This is Marisa, and I want to just kind of extrapolate what you're saying into the nonprofit boardroom also, because as you're speaking and talking about this unpaid labor and who does this and what kind of positions of power that it gives them, or poorly paid labor, I think a lot about our nonprofit institutions and structures and boards of directors, and how, the long time assumption was that your board is all volunteer, and not only are they volunteer, but they also probably donate money to you. And that's kind of been the expectation. And I think we're finally getting to a place where we are not necessarily expecting donations from board members, but we're definitely not getting to the point where we're like, oh, you know what? Because we're seeking to bring people on that maybe are working full time, are, lower income, may need more help, more resources. Like, can we change that framework too there? Because it's another bastion of power. where it's like, okay, we're asking you to do this work, serve on these committees, you know, be our treasurer, do this, whatever, give us cultural currency into your community, whatever it may be. And it's like, okay, well, can we change this? Can we do that work in our own nonprofits or businesses, wherever, where we're like leading with that, with resources? Like, we have the resources, let's share them.
On a similar note, if I can I?
Yeah, please.
Absolutely.
On a similar note, I like to put it to some people like in my spiel of like, so there are a lot of fires that the government isn't putting out. People need things and resources. They exist, they're there. We have enough for everybody. But nonprofits try to put out the fires as best as they can. And they're not very good at it. And so it's not working. And a lot of times, a lot of people are defunding both the government and nonprofits to ensure that they're not working. How do we start? And I just don't know, but I'm always just like, so how do we start doing something different?
Yeah. I think it's how do we think about all of this in a different way. I think it's a really great point.
And I think that, that's kind of what we're here about. Like a friend, so I have a mentor named Tosh James. He founded the Movement Strategy Center, which incubated dozens of organizations that did deep community work. And then in that, he's like, oh, wow, we need capital. And so now he's doing impact investing, leveraging money that usually goes to Wall Street and bringing it to Main Street. And so, in all of those ways, there are leaders nationally who can guide us. It's sometimes getting things to trickle down to Maine, right? And one thing he said to me, I was like, well, what do we do? I'm like, this system needs to tear down. It's extractive. It's nonprofit complex. He's like, we don't tear it down, Marie. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. He's like, you just build up differently. And, I think that the more intent we are together about how we can do different, the more open we are to learning collectively and sharing resources rather than this competitive, we need to compete for this grant. What if we all applied together? And same with, how can we legally collaborate across cities, right? From trainings, how can we legally collaborate to provide additional staff support to the legislature who deeply need, and I've heard this from not just Lori, but from others in conversations, so that folks arriving at the door have the support they need in all capacity. Absolutely.
So we have 3 minutes.
Yeah. Could I just share one thought, April, that was kind of connected to what Marie said and something you said earlier? I just keep thinking about the work also being relational work, right? Like April was talking about, just the time and not being compensated, but also, like how much just the patriarchal white supremacist systems are, black and white thinking about issues and the way we're expected to talk about and vote on issues instead of, I'm thinking about how do we build things up differently. I think about the relational work and the time, it takes to build relationships in the community and with each other as leaders. And those are like, those soft skills that take time and, I think are something that are not always valued, as skills that I just think are so important. And then just our communication about the nuance of issues too, that, I was talking to our group about social media and how toxic it can be. And like, that tries to make issues into these things that do become really like divisive and all this because we're not having these real human to human connection and conversation and about the nuance of things. So I guess that's just a piece that I'm sitting with too, about how do we change the structures of how we're meeting in meetings, but also just in the community talking about these issues that can in the media become like so simplified when they really are so much more nuanced and require time and attention and relationships with each other to work through. So I think that's just maybe a like percolating thought about future, right? How do we build that better? But,
So April yeah, and those are skills that, you know, are uncomfortable to do in public, right? So, yeah. So one thing, April just dropped in the chat, a sign up form to like continue this conversation. A friend of mine said we can be beautifully unstoppable. And that just resonated a lot with both of us. And so we would invite you to join to become beautifully unstoppable together and figure out how to keep this conversation going in all the spaces that we need to have it. Because we need our imaginations and we need the support. And whether it's one-on-ones or group meetups, you know, this was not how I started 5 years ago when you ran, jump, and organized a rally, but this is the work that we need to do to keep the movement. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for showing up present, open,
Yes.
questioning, authentic, all the juicy things.
Thank you, April and Marie. This was great. Thank you all.
Be
Thank you.
safe.
Thank
Wow.
you. Bye.
Take care of yourselves. Bye, everybody.
Bye.